What up, Raf leaders? Welcome back to my channel. We're back in Republic Park, Nandi Park, Peters Hall area. This is the Peters Hall Masjid. But we're here to see progress on the Demerara Harbor Bridge. You can barely see it between the buildings here, so that is the top of the pillars that are going to carry the bridge over this neighborhood, which is why we're back here, because during the last week, remember I took video of this neighborhood about 2 weeks ago, and since then the government has announced, well, not the government, but the courts in Guyana have announced that they have approved the government's plan to use eminent domain to gather the land underneath the bridge. In other words, to buy out. It's called condemnation, right? So they're going to condemn the land under the bridge. They're required by the courts to pay off the homeowners, and as you can see here, you can see barely between the buildings, you can see the pillars of the bridge. Somebody complained in one of the videos that they can't see the bridge. The bridge has not yet been built, but what we're looking at is the neighborhoods that are going to be affected by the bridge once it's completed. And that means all of these homes, right? So what we're looking at is the homes over which the bridge will be passed. So that's the pillars for the bridge. For those of you who still don't understand, the bridge has not yet been built. Only the pillars that will carry the bridge have been built. But you can see the route that the bridge will pass. We are at the East Bank Public Road. We've just passed the Demerara Harbor Bridge entrance. See, those are the pillars again that will carry the bridge. Those pillars. Yeah, go ahead. No, you're not in the shot. So those are the pillars. And back that way where there's the overpass, that overpass is at the entrance to the Demerara Harbor Bridge. So we've just passed the Demerara Harbor Bridge. All of this is Peters Hall. What we're trying to do this morning is to estimate the cost of condemnation. In other words, how much will it cost the government to condemn all this property that is underneath the bridge? And the reason why we're making that calculation today is because people are arguing with me about what the bridge will cost. The government has already spent $260 million in loans from the Chinese government. So China has granted $260 million in loans to the government of Guyana to build this bridge. Again, between the buildings, you can see, and the reason why I'm showing you this between the buildings is because everything that is underneath the bridge, that is before these pillars, is going to be condemned. Morning. So the bridge is going to pass over, see that? That's the bridge, the pillars of the bridge, right? You can see them. So the bridge is going to pass over all of these properties. The government is therefore going to have to pay these homeowners the value of their property and then demolish them. And that's required for a number of reasons. One of them is that it's a liability to have people living under the bridge like this, to have homes under the bridge, businesses under the bridge. Here it is, the bridge running beside the
distance
hotel.
4 miles. Duration 1 hour 2 minutes 11 seconds. Pace 22 minutes 4 seconds per mile.
So this is the entrance ramp to the bridge on the east bank side. Remember, this is going to be repeated on the west bank side as well. So all of these pillars are going to carry the bridge. So these pillars go deep into Providence. And as you can see, all of the property underneath those pillars had to be demolished. So look at this. These buildings, somebody's just started to construct a, was it a house? Or to deconstruct a house. That's going to have to be demolished, and all of the property behind them will have to be demolished. So what's the issue? The issue is that the government will have to pay, in addition to $260 million that has already been paid, the government is going to have to pay all of these homeowners for their land, for their property, and then just demolish it. It's called condemnation. You're going to have to condemn all of these properties. I don't know if these homeowners have already been told. Right, I don't know if these homeowners have already been told. But look at that. That hotel is going to be close to the bridge. So I don't know if this hotel is going to be affected by condemnation. But if they have to condemn this hotel, this is the Demerara hotel. If the government has to condemn this hotel, then you can see that the cost of condemnation is going to be pretty high. So a lot of these buildings and the homes, the land underneath the bridge, are going to be condemned. The reason why is because they will become a liability once the bridge is built. They probably also need to build some pillars on this land. So they're going to have to condemn all of these homes eventually and pay these homeowners the price, the market rate for their homes. In addition to that, condemning these lands, these properties, also means providing the homeowners with equivalent property elsewhere. In other words, the government has to find a location that is equivalent in value to the land and the property they're condemning, and they need to give the homeowner the option to purchase or to move to those locations, and that is what adds to the cost. So my guess is that's going to add another 300 million US dollars, especially if they have to condemn that hotel, right? Because the hotel is going to be pretty close to the bridge, which means all of the carbon monoxide and exhaust fumes coming off of the bridge for traffic in the bridge will affect anyone staying at that hotel, right? Because you can see the bridge pillar is right there, and within I would say within a couple hundred feet is the hotel, and it's probably within the impact zone of the bridge. So all of these properties are going to have to be condemned. And immediately we've heard that the vice president, the current vice president, he doesn't like to pay money, has already told the courts to halt the proceedings. So already the judge has issued an to halt the payout, that is. The courts have approved the government's case to have these lands, these properties condemned to use eminent domain. The government has a right to condemn your property and to use it for whatever purpose they intend. And the courts have approved the motion to condemn these properties. But the vice president has already issued an order to halt the proceedings because he's not ready to pay these people. These people, however, who are now living on the path to the bridge will have to be compensated, right? So this is the bridge. We've seen this in the last video, in the previous video. The question is, how much will they pay these homeowners? So on this side, for example, somebody has a 50th anniversary celebration poster up there. This is where the pillars that will support the bridge come out of the river. Morning, good morning. So this is where the pillars come out of the river. But as you can imagine, other pillars are going to have to be built between this last pillar here and the one across the road across the road at East Bank Public Road. They're going to have to put in several pairs of pillars between